Today we're going to talk about yearbooks in the Christian school.
The Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. But bear in mind, the views and opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation.
Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockoll, and today we are on the road. We're taking this on the road, so we're going to see how our lapels work. And if we need
a mobile episode.
Yeah, we're going to see if we need to update these lapels. I'm sure we do.
I was just going to say, let me clarify, both my hands are currently on the steering wheel, so...
Yeah, we're wearing them truly like lapels. We're going to see how this works. Should be okay, especially since we have the awesome audio capabilities that come to us via our connection with the Herzog Foundation and what they've offered as a partnership. So let's go ahead and hear from the Herzog Foundation right now.
The Christian Principles Podcast is proud to partner with the Herzog Foundation in our mutual goal to see Christian school educators thrive, to further its mission to catalyze and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education. The Herzog Foundation offers an array of programs such as online content, up-to-date news, training and events, grants, and hands-on organizational improvement initiatives. Leaders need to head over to the Herzog Institute to find amazing training opportunities for both administration and teachers. Herzog has also become a great hub of the latest news in education through their network of podcasts, including the one provided by yours truly. What a blessing the Herzog Foundation has been. Head over to herzogfoundation.com now so you too can be strengthened by this incredible organization. That's herzogfoundation.com. Just one more thing before we get back to the episode. If Herzog has been a blessing to you and your school, would you mind sending us a message telling us how? We'd love to share that with others.
All right, we're talking about yearbooks today.
So yearbooks have been a consistent point of questioning from those who have reached out to us. In fact, we got this question from Mr. Tim Anger, just the general, what do you do with yearbooks? How do you handle yearbooks? And this is coming from a smaller school, but I'm sure that our larger school listeners have their own issues and twists and understandings of yearbooks and what the ins and outs are. So we could talk about the very specific, how do you go about selling the yearbook? How do you go about do you put in advertisements in yearbooks and things like that? But we're gonna start general, and as anybody who wants to come back and offer further insight would like to, that's great.
Yeah.
And to start off with, let's go to who is out there for yearbooks. When I think of larger schools who do their yearbooks, I think of going through Jostens. For whatever reason, Jostens has had not the corner of the market, but they've done a lot with the larger schools. They're the original.
Yeah,
they're the ones who did it first.
OG, the OG. Yeah. I mean, I remember from my school growing up, we used Jostens, but man, I'm so glad that the process is not what it used to be of clipping out literal pictures, putting them on a template and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Jostens seems to be like, if you don't know anything else,
you go with them.
Jostens does good yearbooks.
They do it, yeah. You get a solid product. I'm sure it's expensive. I'm sure, much like the rest of their stuff, you're going to pay a premium for the name at the very least. But I do remember you mentioned picking up pictures and the pages. I remember going back and seeing in some of the historical documentation of the school the actual planning pages for those yearbooks, which is quite interesting to go back and look at. If you can do that for your school. But of course, there are options. This is not communist Russia. This is America, and we are able to see lots of different people try and vie for our schools. So I should say, if you feel stuck with your yearbook, know that there's competitors out there.
Oh yeah,
there's lots of people out there to go in, lots of organizations out there to go and look, and maybe you want to go make a move to Jostens. You're looking to move away from Jostens for whatever reason. One that Matt and I have a lot of experience with is going to be Entourage yearbooks. If you look up, if you just Google Entourage, you won't get to the yearbooks, but you'll get there eventually. If you do EntourageYearbooks.com or whatnot, you'll find what tends to be kind of representative of what the modern yearbook opportunity would be for for a lot of these places, or what a lot of these organizations are doing now, will be offering a way for you to build the yearbook yourself through an online editor. So you're doing a lot of online uploading of pictures. You are able to share the editorial responsibilities with the entire staff, and of course everything else from communicating to parents to preparing PDF, advertising, and of course doing the actually editing of the yearbook. And the editor of the yearbook is somewhere between incredibly intuitive and Photoshop is where these different yearbooks are going to wind up.
Yeah.
And so making sure that you are in an editor space that is comfortable for you. So like Matt, if you were doing this right now by yourself.
Thank goodness I'm not. So I would say I've done it, but I'm thankful I'm not doing that right now.
Yeah.
Yes, if I was doing it.
If you were doing it, I imagine, especially with the time you have, you would be looking for someone to partner with who you could basically send your pictures to and maybe do minor editing, but to get a whole lot of feedback, a whole lot of support in even image placement and name placement from the editorial team. Even if that's something you're paying extra for from your yearbook supplier, you're going to want to have a lot of support in the editorial process if you're doing this by yourself. Now, right? Like that's more what you would be looking for.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, back when I've done a whole yearbook practically by myself. Definitely the time killer is the arrangement of pictures and all of that, and of course you have thematic things, so it does. In some ways it's okay, and again that's where it goes back to the company that you're using, how user friendly is it, but regardless of that, even if it is just a click and drag and drop, it still takes so much time to organize everything and clear it up. So yeah, having a team is definitely the way you need to be going.
Okay, so maybe we move away from supplier really fast and go to team. Let's back up to the team. I've seen a lot of success, of course, with a yearbook class and a yearbook faculty advisor, and then the yearbook class. And I imagine traditionally that's what a lot of our schools have. They have, as much as it can be a student-created product, they want it to be a student-created product. So if you have the personal devices students can access the internet, or if there's an actual downloaded software that's being provided by the organization, by the supplier you're going with, they download it, they put it on those personal computers, and then they work with that software, whatever it happens to be. Again, I'm going to go back and say that most of them are online now. And so you have a group of students. When I'm looking at that extracurricular class, not extracurricular, I'm looking at that elective class. Excuse me. I'm looking at that elective class. I truly want that to be elective. I do not want anybody in that class who doesn't care to be there. To be honest, I want them to have good reason to be there, even some skills to be there. Maybe if they don't have the skills, just I'd be okay with the desire to want to be a part of the yearbook and to develop those skills. But what that yearbook, and I suppose this is the same for every elective out there, the elective teacher wants people that are interested, not people that are not interested. So if you can get away from forcing participation, enrollment or something, if you can get away from that,
there can be. And again, I think this goes back to who is leading that group.
Sure.
because in many other aspects of education, I think there is that possibility when you put it out there, like, hey, this is an elective course. Teenagers tend to be like, well, if I don't have to take it, I'm not going to take it. That kind of thing. Granted.
Sure.
So 100% agree with you that you want the kids that are interested and want to do a good job to be doing it. However, I have seen it in the past where kids that at first are like, no way, I'm not interested in this at all, have discovered after being quote unquote forced to do it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was actually interesting. Or, maybe there's a niche that they have in the yearbook building process that they find, but if you have a skilled teacher that's able to tap into that and direct that and guide that. You know, that makes or breaks the whole thing. Yeah, definitely, I would agree with you 100%.
So we need to back up then and
that
say
voluntary would be
preferable. We need to back up though and say that really what we need is just solid faculty and staff.
Correct.
So okay, so this has become an episode concerning recruitment and faculty professionalism. So
yeah,
but point well taken. Yes, if you do have someone able to.
Yeah.
If you have someone able to get the best out of everybody, then that's great for everything.
And I wouldn't even necessarily say it has to be the faculty member that is like the one that's, you know, always taking pictures, or, you know, the one that's really creative.
Sure.
Less than that, I place more value just on a good leader.
Yep.
And a good manager.
Yep.
Like that's
you can bring the best out of the people they
because
have.
You can I don't know how everybody works with their yearbooks, but you know, when you're making yearbooks year after year after year, of course, you know, you're going to have some kind of layout design, you know, template type thing, and it's just like, okay, we need this kind of a page, we need this kind of a page, and so you should be starting your year with just, you know, all right, here are our tasks ahead of us already.
Man,
so assigning tasks and
this is already. I knew it was too general from the start, and as I was saying this is general, I was just cringing because I thought really we should be talking about starting a yearbook.
Yeah.
If you've never started a yearbook before, what should you do? Or we could start even there because we talk about these things such as, okay, what's passed down one yearbook to the next? Is there a cover which is always the cover?
Right.
Is there a play on the brand of the school which is always a part of it? Is there a joke that's always there? Is there a decision on we will not have sponsors, we will have sponsors? Is there an understanding that the yearbook for the 1 year will have the previous year's summer activities and like award ceremony in the yearbook from the previous year, because of course you can't get it in the yearbook if you want it to be there before the school year's end. Hey, when does your yearbook come out? Did you bring it out in the summertime so you can get the rest of that stuff in there, or do you make sure you have it before the school year is out so that you're able to pass it out and do the celebration? How do you decide who your or if your school is going to honor somebody in the yearbook, how do you decide who gets that honor in the yearbook? And so saying all that, I realized that once again I messed up because we should be super specific in this. But really we if you haven't had that discussion with your yearbook faculty advisor, those are discussions to have. What binder is passed down advisor to advisor, evidencing these are the traditions that we as a school hold when it comes to our yearbook.
Yep.
I also wonder, okay, we have these in general, do we want this to be something which parents are going to pay for, or is this something that we're going to offer as part of their tuition? It doesn't need to be reflected in tuition, because some of these can get quite expensive. I know that Entourage, what we work with, or what we worked with in the past, has relatively been inexpensive. It's been less than $25 for a hardback yearbook that's 60 pages or so. That's pretty awesome. That is something that I have experienced, both passing that $20 cost per book onto the family, as well as just eating that $20 cost. And what you get for being a student is you get a yearbook for that $20. And so that's definitely a way of doing it. There are absolutely more expensive options out there, and for the larger schools, 60 pages is not going to be enough. You're going to need 100, and so then it's a different conversation and a different amount as well, because you're ordering for way more students.
Right.
So those need to be a part of your conversation, a part of your what you're talking about with your advisor. If there's is there a budget for the yearbook? Was that money comes in from sponsors? If there are sponsors, is that going to offset yearbook costs, or is that going to buy better cameras, like sharing a camera, all that stuff, man?
Yeah.
Now I'm going down the rabbit hole.
The hole is large.
Yeah.
It's really easy. And I mean, that's not even to mention the schools that just have made an absolute decision, like, we're not doing a yearbook anymore.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You know, we're not even going down that trail. But yeah, there's at the end of the day, here's the thing. You know, when considering, the beginnings of a yearbook, like you cannot, if you've already started your school year and you're just now giving thought to what do we want our yearbook to look like, you're too late to me. Like, this has to be figured out before the school year starts, because there's a lot of things that happen before then too. Is it going to be a class? Is it going to be an after school thing? The more details you can have clarified ahead of time, and possibly even the year before, like that, maybe that's where this conversation needs to go. Is as you're wrapping up, the current year's yearbook, you are already creating the plans for the next year.
Well, especially since that yearbook is wrapped up, meaning that yearbook class, which is still going to meet for at least a couple of weeks after they've passed the book out, if that's your process, is to pass the book out in some celebratory time in May or in June, and that class is still going to meet once or twice. Maybe that's the end of the year wrap up, is looking ahead, inviting in the students who might want to take a part of that in the future to say, this is what we're going to do, and setting, hey, we're going to announce the theme, the color scheme. I like that. We're going to announce the theme and the color scheme.
Theme and the color scheme.
Theme and the color scheme.
Yeah.
We're going to announce the theme and the color scheme to come up, and we're going to also offer the layout to the upcoming students, and that way they're well prepared, and they do have an investment in the future as well. This is great. I do want to make a note here of the input we received from, again, Mr. Anger, who offered us this thought from the beginning. We've used Jostens, and then we later used I've always said Jostens. Maybe it's Jostens. I should look that up, but later we used LifeTouch. Not sure if they still offer that service at all. Once we started using Tree Ring about a dozen years ago, we never looked back. So here's another example. By the way, we are sponsored by none of these.
Yeah.
We might have to chase this down, though, because this is a good thought. Here are 10 reasons I love Tree Ring from Mr. Anger. Inexpensive. Each book is about $10 to $12 is only about $10 to $12 for basic size. I don't think there's any way that's a hardback book. That must be a paper book, but I haven't looked that up. Number 2, easy to put together. Just a website interface to upload pictures and arrange on the page, much like Shutterfly books. Students can easily do it, or parent, team, or students and students do it. That's a great points there.
Yeah.
Parents getting involved with it. If you don't have a teacher who's doing it, so having a parent come in who, I think of a mom who likes to put together albums, that's being very stereotypical.
Yeah, well,
there could be a dad who likes that too. That's fine.
Even like he brought up, much like Shutterfly books, I wonder if there's schools that actually use Shutterfly.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was on an ACSI forum talking about yearbooks, and I think someone said we use Shutterfly for this.
There you go.
So it very well could be that. Or what is it? Is it freephotobook.com? There's all the free apps which aren't actually free.
I'm surprised. Maybe they do. I just don't know. But does Canva have a yearbook?
Canva. Oh, there you go. They probably don't have an official one, though. You could easily
make one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The school can add as many pages as they want for slightly higher fee per book. Okay, so then you can. So it's definitely an
add-on.
Yeah. So maybe the 10 to 12 cost for Mr. Anger, which I know that Emmaus Baptist is not necessarily a tremendously large school. Maybe that's something they can handle because they're not pushing out a couple thousand kids in their school.
Yeah.
It's smaller that way. Perhaps. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Parents personalize 2 pages for each of their children. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
So you offer them the opportunity, if they would care to go even further in their personalization past just the signature pages. The book, by the way, signature pages, make sure you have, or you may want to consider when you have your yearbook presentation time and you're honoring the person who's getting the yearbook and all that, maybe you're also offering 15 minutes for students to run around and get signatures from all their peers during that time, as opposed to doing after school and making Carline an absolute mess. The books are full color. Their graphics, font, stock images can be added. Yep, I'd say Entourage and others do that as well. So a lot of these things that I'm seeing here from Tree Ring are also available with competitors. I'm sure they have their own spin on it, though. The parents can buy the book on the website using credit cards. The school isn't collecting money and raising funds.
That's you go.
Nice.
I love that.
Nice.
That to me is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I love that so much. That it's just, we've created the yearbook. Now, if you want it, go and get it.
Go and get it. Yeah,
I love that.
That is a really cool option.
I'm clapping for that.
No minimum quantity required. Some years they've only ordered as few as 12 here. Okay, so few as 12. The school can set their own deadline, even move it back if needed at any point.
Yeah,
I see the value of that. Definitely have had the horror situations of something incredible happening at the very end and realizing this isn't going to make it out. We wanted to make it out. The school, they provide flyers and PDF that can be sent to families to explain how to order, how to personalize pages, etc. Again, I think that's something that's pretty common across most of these suppliers. But here, Tree Ring, here, Mr. Anger knows to us the Tree Ring offers that specifically. Families can choose whether they want soft cover or pay more for a hardback book. Okay, so there's the answer to the other question. That 10 to 12 is probably the soft cover, and the hardback would be more. Okay, so hey, the Tree Ring.
Yeah.
If you're looking for one, Tree Ring. We've mentioned Tree Ring, Entourage, and Johnston's. We're sure there's more out there. We're sure there's a lot more.
We also throw Shutterfly and Canva.
That's true.
I'm not sure if they do that, but
yeah, but they're gonna have to pay us for that because that's a new idea. Absolutely new idea.
Yeah.
All right. When we speak about yearbooks, is there anything else that you're dying to say in this very introductory episode?
Going to say,
I feel bad that it's been so general. I wonder if it's going to be actually useful for anybody.
I feel like we're going to be. I think we're bringing up topics because even the time of distribution. I know you've been talking a lot in this episode about you're getting that yearbook out towards the end of the year and you've got a lot of time to just get the signatures and all those kind of things. My school didn't distribute the yearbook until the next school year.
Yikes.
And that way they fit everything. Like the yearbook wasn't actually built until the summer because we took everything from the entire year and put it in there. And I know a frustration for me, like even in college with college yearbooks, like I was often in a spring play that never was in the yearbook because the yearbook was done before the play was.
Yeah. And
then they would send out these, I don't know if you remember this or not, they'd send out these like pages that you could glue into your yearbook.
Yeah, I do remember
who actually glued those in? Like I never did. But there's that value of saying, well, having graduation pictures, which is the very last thing we may do, like having those in the yearbook would also be really nice for the seniors, but then you potentially miss out the opportunity of having your classmates sign it because that was always kind of the awkward thing growing up for us, where we had a classmate that transferred schools,
no longer with us,
and while they got their yearbook in the mail, like we didn't have a chance to see them and say, hey, sign this yearbook.
Mm-hmm.
You had people that weren't even in the yearbook because they were new to your school signing your yearbook.
Yeah.
So there's that time of distribution is just another topic almost in and of itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot I think to explore with yearbooks that maybe we should go a little bit more niche.
Yeah. Tell us
the next time.
Tell us where we need to go. Tell us what we did. I hope we hear back from Tim on this because maybe he is not interested in anything we've said so far. He wants us to go deeper in something else.
Yeah.
But I do love the point, especially that when are you going to do it when you pass it? I didn't know that about your previous school that you had that you passed them out the next year. That might be the first time I've ever heard about that. Yep. So even there. All right, let's move on to our Christian Administrator Spotlight. Because Matt's eyes are on the road, I'm going to do most of this one. Usually his eyes have been on the road most of the time. It's a blessing.
I don't know if they've ever not been on the road, but especially since this guy in front of me just suddenly wants to slam on his brakes.
All right, we're going out to Jennifer Wigfield of Destiny School of the Arts in Leesburg, Virginia. Now, this was an interesting contact made with Jennifer. Jennifer was on the Christian Administrators Think Tank with a question, and I was able to have a short conversation with her concerning that question and what it was that she was asking, and then we went a little bit further, and I said, hey, I'm going to make sure that I shout you out on our podcast, and that was a little bit ago. So Jennifer, I'm sorry it took me a while to get there, but Jennifer Wigfield of Destiny School of the Arts, and I'm going to go ahead and pray for you now, Jennifer, as we move along in your role as head of school there. Dear Father, we thank you so much for the work that Jennifer is doing to see Christianity, to see biblical values pushed in students. We are thankful for all the work of our administrative brothers and sisters that is focused on seeing the Bible furthered and Christian education and Christian values flourish in the present day. Empower her and her team today as they close down their school year, and might we be encouraging, might we be strong for the labor you've called us to. Well, thank you and praise you for it. Amen. All right, folks, you've heard us talk about the yearbook today. As we should have a yearbook.
We should probably make a Christian Principles podcast yearbook.
We could. That's a great idea.
We should. Well, we'll sell it. Make some money.
Sell it to our moms. All right, everybody. Thanks for growing with us today.
Before you go, please be sure to hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, on Spotify, be sure to tap the star icon near the top and select the number of stars you'd like to give us. We'd be so grateful for 5. On Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the ratings and review section and then tap write a review to share your thoughts of the podcast. Thank you.